Hi, folks. Got an absolutely fantastic guest here today, Richard Donaldson of the Great British Strike, now I believe called the Great British National Protest. This is a brave man who's taken on the government. He's standing up for what he believes in. So, how are you, Richard?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. So, I want to take you back. People, I don't know if people have been following this. It's been all over TikTok. It's been all over everywhere. You've been on GB News. You've been on absolutely everything. How did you feel, if I take you back, that the strike went on that day? When was it? It was a few weeks ago now, wasn't it?
Do you know what? I've been looking forward to phase two so much. I can't even remember what the date was for phase one. That's just completely gone out of my head. When was it? It was the 24th of May. I want to say the
That's
24th
the
of May.
one. That's the
That's
one.
the one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so do you know what, mate? Yeah, being completely honest, in some locations, fantastic. In other
Mhm.
locations, terrible. In some
Right.
locations, we knew it was going to happen. In some
Mhm.
locations, no one turned up. Okay,
Right.
and in some locations, we had thousands, literally thousands. Um, so yeah, you got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you? But overall, it did what I wanted it to do. We cracked mainstream news. We were on GB News and
Mhm.
Talk TV. BBC picked us up towards the end, literally the day before. Could have done with it a few weeks
Yes.
earlier, but it is what
Yeah.
it is. Phase one was promotion. I was always quite honest about that. It was essentially taking me, a nobody, and trying to sort of get my face out there and what we're doing out there. So overall, a positive.
Yes.
But I made a lot of mistakes. Again, I'm going to be honest. The small team that I've got, we made a lot of mistakes. But going forward, we know where we've had to sort of correct ourselves. So
Tell us about your actual day. Well, what did you do and where did you go?
I'm from Chester, so I went to Chester, and I'd say there was maybe sort of 400 or 500 people there in total. Um, it was fantastic. It was so peaceful. I mean, there were 9 arrests overall,
Mhm.
seven of which were Antifa. This was across the UK.
Yeah.
One was a case of mistaken identity. There was a warrant out for some young lad's arrest, and they got the wrong guy. They thought it was him. And then another guy was a citizen journalist who, and I quote, got too close to the counter protest. So I don't know. No one on our side got arrested. Fantastic. I got up, I did a little speech, and it was what I wanted it to be. It was
Mhm.
people coming together. We know why we're there. We know what we're about. We know what we're protesting for or striking for. But it was done in a way that sort of it's very rarely done nowadays, which is it was about community, it was about unity, it was about getting people together. It was really positive. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for Dover. I really cannot wait.
So, how did people treat you actually on the day? Was it because I mean, obviously, that's the first time you've done something like that. You turn up, there's
Yeah.
400 people. Kind of weird going in because you are the central focus of the whole thing.
Yeah. Do you know what was strange is obviously I know I'm not a celebrity, and when you're somebody who I've worked all my life, it was very very strange because where it was in Chester, it was the town hall, and where I parked, I thought I'm just gonna park up in the car park. I'll walk around. If people are there, great. If people aren't there, it is what it is. Um, and as you sort of turn the corner to go towards the town hall, there was a noise anyway, but it was the centre of town, so that was to be expected. But then as I walked around the corner, people sort of spotted me, and then everyone started clapping. It was so strange. Even now, I come out in sweats just thinking about it. It was bizarre. It was just hours of shaking people's hands, of them coming up. They were thanking me. I was thanking them. It was just, and then everyone started talking. It was, yeah, it was fantastic. It really was, but
It's so
strange.
weird. So weird, isn't it? As you know, like because you say you're like ordinary guy, you've worked all your life, you've been in the army and everything
Yeah,
else like that. And suddenly you turn up, everybody knows who you are, signing autographs, having photographs taken. That's such a weird changeover, isn't it?
yeah. It's a lot to take in. Don't get me wrong. There's been lots of negativity as well, but 90% of the comments that I get, and even now, I mean, I've been going to work and stuff, and I was in Aldi the other day, and some bloke walked up to me and he was like, "Rich, I just want to shake your hand, mate." And he stuck his hand out, and he was maybe sort of like mid 70s, probably pushing 80s, and he was like, giving me that firm handshake and well done, giving it all.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, it's strange, mate, but it's fantastic, it really is.
What do you think that you learned from that experience, that first day of strikes? Because you had meetings all over the country, didn't you? I mean, in virtually every town.
Yeah. So what did I learn personally in terms of like the planning and organizers?
Yes.
So for me personally, everything I said. So I've always been very outspoken, and I've always, I say what I think at the time, and that's just it, and then I move on. I've had to learn now, Liam, and you've probably been the same. You've got a massive following. Um, Everything you say is there forever. So there's been times where I'm like, no, this is what we're gonna do. I promise, da 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 da, and then it gets to it, and I'm like, I can't
Mhm.
actually, the intention was there, but actually pulling it off, trying to, because I do try and work with the police, the local councils, the authorities. I want to try and keep it as amicable as possible. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I've had to be very aware now that everything I say is there
Yes.
forever, and I need to be sure that I can do something before I promise it to people. So yeah,
Have you had, as the kind of stick that you've been getting, has it increased as this sort of
yeah,
move getting bigger? Yeah.
yeah. It's the bigger we get, the more sort of, I'm not going to say that. How would I word this? So the more support we seem to build, the
Mhm.
more the backlash builds as well. It's the same comments. There's nothing original. It's I'm a Nazi, I'm a racist, etc. It's all the same stuff. It's the death threats. It's I don't want to go on about it too much. I've mentioned it in the past two videos, and one thing I'm absolutely not as a victim, but it's definitely ramping up. And the closer we got to the first strike, the more it was ramping up.
Yes.
Um, but it just goes to show, mate, that people like what we're doing now, it's working.
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't take the time to to
Yeah.
to to say the things they're saying.
Were Antifa there on your particular event?
And it was really strange because, right, and I've not said this to anyone yet.
Mm.
So I announced that I was going to Chester. Now,
Mhm.
bearing in mind, I'm like the antichrist to these people now because I'm the face of the Great British National Protest, as we all know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had one guy turn up on crutches,
Mhm.
screaming Nazi in my face for about 20 minutes, half an hour. And then
Man.
after about an hour, he put both his crutches in one hand and he
Mhm.
held them like they were he didn't need them, and he walked off. Now he was stood with the police whilst he was doing
Right.
this. The police didn't intervene, nothing was said, nothing was done. And the more I think back, I think, was he some sort of like plant? Like, I don't want to go all
Yeah.
conspiratorial, but he's there on his crutches. People did start shouting at him and tell him to F off and all the rest of it. I went over and I said, look, give him nothing, he gets nothing, and
Mhm.
just come away, sort of thing. But there was one guy there on crutches by himself, calling us
Yeah.
all Nazi, trying to stir it up. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's a part of me just thinks was he put there on He didn't need those crutches. Why was he on crutches shouting at people, trying to get people to go back at him? So it was
Yeah.
very strange that they didn't turn up sort of en masse where I was.
Well, it's weird that because I covered all the anti kind of COVID marches, and I actually filmed in police vans, police, presumably police or actors, getting into costume and then coming out with certain banners, going into the crowd, then being photographed by national press, then getting back into the van.
Yeah, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. I'm gonna clip that bit if that's okay. I'm gonna put that out because
Yeah.
so many people said, oh, Antifa were better than you were. They were better. They are better organized. They are. They're so well organized. The left. They're so well funded.
Yes.
Like you say, they've got vans that bring all their signs are the same all over the country, mass
Yes.
produced, ready to
Yeah.
go. Sign. They cost so much money. These signs. I've tried to get
Yeah.
them made for the money
Yeah.
we're getting through donate. We can't afford to do it.
No.
The money they've got, the backing they've got is insane. So I'm going to clip that bit because yeah, there was so much of that. People were sending me videos and saying they've just jumped out of a van. BBC have been on them. Oh, look how amazing they are. Back in the van, 2 minutes later, gone.
Yeah.
And that happened in
Now,
multiple places.
I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist as well. Now, I went to the one in Westminster,
Yeah,
and everybody was coughing there for the entire time that they were there. Now, I've heard from quite a few people online now that certain events that they went to on the day, your events, they were also coughing. Now,
yeah.
people were saying it was, extreme pollen, but there was no pollen that day in London when I checked it out. But everybody was coughing, couldn't speak, tears coming from their eyes just in that specific area. So I don't know if that makes me a conspiracy theorist, but it was very weird. So I don't, did you hear about that in any other location?
We had it. So right again, this seems really out there, right? But so there's a part and there's a video at the moment where I'm giving a little speech and I take my glasses off and I'm
Mhm.
blind as about anyway, and I'm rubbing my eyes because my eyes are just streaming. But so many people had
Yeah.
exactly the same issue in Chester, Manchester, Liverpool. We've seen so many comments about it, but equally as strange as that was, um, obviously centre of Chester, we get 5G everywhere.
Mhm.
On that specific day, I don't know if you saw my post. Um,
Yes.
so there were multiple internet providers,
Mhm.
sort of your phone network providers. They were all down. And when I,
Yes.
I uploaded a map, so there's a website called Down Detector,
Mhm.
and it'll show you in real time where what's down and where, is it BT, is it EE, is it your Sky TV, whatever goes down, Facebook. um
Yes.
and it was literally the red zones were London, Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, Chester. And so in Chester, people were coming up to me saying, I'm trying to live it, I can't get signal. And
Yeah.
everyone's going, no one can get signal. it
Yeah.
was it was I say it's strange, it's not strange, we all know what's going on. We all
Yes.
know. These things used to be conspiratorial, and now we know it's happening,
Yeah,
so
it was very weird. Everybody was absolutely streaming. So people who wanted to get up and do a speech and this, that, and they were really struggling with it, very weird. Yeah, out of the area, absolutely fine. Absolutely
yeah,
fine. That was
yeah.
weird. So how of the so you've moved on. The big thing at the moment is you've moved on to phase two. Now you're going to go to Dover, and then you called it off because of opposition, and then you brought it back on. So, for people who don't know the story, what has happened?
So yeah, so again, I try and keep it as amicable as possible. A lot of people have said to protest, just go there. Now, for me, I
Yeah.
think if you just go there and you don't work with the council, you don't work with the police, yeah, you're not going to have a good relation with them anyway. Don't these people on the front line, these police officers, okay? They're human beings too, and chances are they probably agree with a lot of what we're saying. It's just that, they've got a job to do. They went
Mhm.
into it, it was a profession, it was what they probably wanted to do from a young age. They've got families to feed, they need to earn their money, they've got rent to pay, etc. So for me, I think the more I can work with these people on the ground, the better things can go, surely,
Absolutely.
hopefully. So when you go on Google and you type in, is Dover Beach public? It'll come up and it'll say, yes, Dover Beach is publicly accessible to all. Now, when you actually look into it, it's divided between the Port of Dover
Mhm.
Council, Dover Council, the Dover Harbour Board, and Dover Police, and also the Crown. Okay,
Mhm.
so its ownership is divvied up, and it's not like it's divvied up into blocks. It's small segments everywhere,
Oh,
so
really?
it's really difficult. And then I think it's roughly 6% is technically public land,
Mhm.
but it's in between the bits that you can't get to because other people are, and the National Trust own bits as well. So it's all sort of divvied up. Now we sent the forms off to the council. We said, look, we're going to be holding a protest here. These are our plans. This is when we plan on getting there. We expect a couple of thousand people.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, not a problem. Yeah, we're happy. Blah blah blah. Great. They assigned us a sort of a liaison officer who we would be able to work through. And then we got an email. So I announced it all, and then we got an email, and it come through, and it said, just to make you aware, essentially we've made a sort of a U-turn on this decision based on more meetings that we've had. And I promise you now, right, that their reason behind why we weren't then allowed to go on Dover Beach was because there is a biodiverse plant life living in between the rocks on the beach.
Of course
Okay.
there is. Yeah.
And if we all turn up en masse, that
Mm.
could have detrimental effects to these vegetable rocks, I call them, because I don't even want to look into it. I don't care. Um, Now, for me, it's a public space anyway. People are there. Um, so to me, it was not a very good excuse. So
Yeah.
they said, because of this, the public are allowed access. However, we've decided that protests are strictly prohibited. If you
Mhm.
do turn up as a protest, if you bring signs, placards,
Mhm.
etc., um, we will pursue this essentially as aggravated trespass.
Okay.
Great. So aggravated trespass, you're looking sort of 3 months jail time, up to three and a half
Really?
grand. Yeah, but then I've spoken to different people, different lawyers, different professionals who have said, well, yes, but because I'm the organizer, what they could
Mhm.
argue is each person that turns up
Mhm.
is another incident of aggravated trespass, and because I'm the organizer, it falls on me. So 3 months could turn into, 2,000 people turn up and it's aggravated trespass. It becomes quite a long drawn out sort of sentence. Do you know what I mean? Potentially.
Yeah.
You look at the likes of Lucy
What do you
Connolly. I mean,
feel
she was
about
thrown
that?
in.
What do you
So
feel
well,
about
I'm in two minds because I'm a husband and I'm a father, but at the same time, I just think, you know what? Do you know what I mean? I
that?
want to do it anyway. So I thought, okay, well then we'll go, not as a protest. We'll just
Mhm.
be, a public gathering. So I've put posts out now. We've put, they've said we can't have placards, we can't have signs. So I've put together flags, t-shirts, hats saying definitely not the Great British National Protest. So if
Right.
people want to take those, they can. Although just turn up with a Union Jack. You don't have to buy our merch. Just turn up with a Union Jack, turn up with whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not allowed placards, we're not allowed signs, and we're not allowed to protest. But we can just turn up. Coincidentally, we might all just turn up on the same day at the same time. Who knows? We're definitely.
But are you going to? Because originally I thought you were going to build stage, have a stage area there, but people
Yeah.
dancing and people doing speeches. So can you do that now?
Not on the beach, but there is the promenade, and on the promenade, they already have like ice cream vans and stuff like that.
Yes.
Anyway, that's perfectly fine. They turn up day in day out. We've spoken to people who have these local businesses. They turn up on the promenade. They don't need any permission.
Yeah.
It's acceptable basically. Um, so we're getting in touch at the moment. We've already been in touch with quite a lot of businesses, and we've said, come along. They can all set up on the promenade. We
Yes.
can get a stage on a trailer because that doesn't necessarily need
Yes.
permission,
Yes.
because it's on a trailer, and that
Okay.
has access to the prop. So we can all essentially get onto the beach, and then up on the promenade is the plan. You'll have, your food trucks, your stage, your speeches, and all the rest of it. Turn it
Right.
into a bit of and we've had a bit of stick for this as well, but turn it into a bit of a day out and stick to that unity piece that I keep going on about. It's yes,
Yes.
it's a protest, but at the same time, let's make it an event. And we can hold this time and time again in different locations.
So it's actually walking onto the beach that is the issue, even though there's a bit the promenade is overlooking the beach. But it's you
Yes.
if everybody goes onto the beach, that could be the issue.
Yeah, it's a tough one because then it's like, well, we'll just do it on the promenade. But then the promenades, it's long, it's promenade. So you're
Yeah.
just going to end up with lots of people spread over, a couple of miles worth of.
Yes.
Ideally, it would be better if we were all in one place. And I don't know, it's quite sort of, I don't know if poetic's the right word, but it's quite symbolic. All of us on the beach. Does that make sense? So that was
Yeah.
what I wanted to do, and
Absolutely.
that's yeah.
Yeah, you see, things it's interesting about you because you've got a slight edge to you that there's almost a bit of enjoyment. There's sort of it's kind of up you sort of attitude. There's something there with you, Richard. There definitely
For
is.
someone who's been in the army, I've always had a problem with authority. Not
Authority.
authority. I don't mind authority. It's like misplaced authority or these sort of authoritarians. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to find little ways to annoy them.
But do you see that when you go onto that beach that they may make an example of you and you could be taken away and put in a van? Are you prepared for that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Turn up on the day and see what happens. That's all we can do. That's all we can do.
So, why did you pick Dover? I mean, obviously, there are sort of obvious reasons because also logistically, you've got people who are going to be in the north of England and all of that. It's a very long trek for them, and this, that, and the other. So
Mm.
it's sort of in one area of the country. Do you feel you're going to lose people not turning up because of that distance and everything?
Yeah, it's going to happen, and it's genuinely, yeah, it's properly sad because what I wanted to do. So I'm going to be honest with you now. I won't. Can you say his full name? I think you already know who I'm talking about. Can you say his full
Yes.
name on YouTube? You can say
Well,
it.
you can initialize it, I think.
Okay. So TR, everyone knows him as Tommy. He was recently
Yeah.
incarcerated. He's now released. Okay. Now I had a very brief discussion with him on
Mhm.
X. He's following me now. He's aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, and initially, what I wanted to do was hold a protest in all of our capital cities. Okay, in
Yes.
Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, England, at the same time. Now, originally, I wanted to go to Parliament Square for London,
Yeah.
for England's capital city, for our protests. And Tommy sent me a voice message. And he just said, look, he said, it's just a bit of advice. I know what I'm doing with protests. I've held enough of them. And I thought, yeah, all right, fair one, Tommy. Yeah, you know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
he said, it doesn't work. Holding it in multiple locations doesn't work because you'll end up with small groups of people in lots of locations. And
Yeah.
optically, it just looks it looks rubbish, which is what we had in phase one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could have said, all right, let's all go to London, Parliament Square. However, July, Tommy is holding a protest.
Mm-hmm.
August, everyone is off for the school holidays. So they're going to be, doing whatever they're doing. And then in September, Tommy's holding another protest.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the big one. So then you go, well, what about October? But then it starts getting cold.
Yes.
Now, for the amount of problems we have in the UK, and this is something I'm seeing more and more, I don't want to, I'll just be honest. There is a lot of people aren't willing to go out into the cold. Okay.
No.
There's lots of things. We've put forms out asking for volunteers, and in the past 3 weeks, 16 people have signed up. There's lots of, I can't remember what the word is called now, where people are very sort of,
is it apathetic? Is that the word?
Apathetic, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of apathy. And I think once you start getting into October and it starts getting a bit chilly and, the nights start drawing it, people simply, they're going to go and hibernate for the next few months, till summer comes around again. So where do you go from there unless you hold one in the following year? But then by that point, everyone's like, well, he's had his GoFundMe. He probably is a grifter. He's probably vanished into the night. People won't remember who I am. And then it's like you're starting the movement up all over again. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it was like, well, where can
criticism? Have you had that criticism about, about the funds and all of that? They always have a go if you're trying to raise money, but how are you supposed to do it if you've got no backing?
Well, this is the thing. So I've said this multiple times. Yeah. I wouldn't have to raise any money whatsoever. Okay. Ideally, I'd like to raise a bit of money and have it to one side and people say, oh, you're planning on doing things, breaking the law. I'm not planning on breaking any laws. However, you don't need to break a law for them to necessarily come after you. Okay. And this has been proven time and time again. Yeah. So ideally, I'd like a little fund to one side for any potential legal costs in the future. Bearing in mind, you go and speak to a lawyer, you're looking at a couple of £100 just to get some advice on Dover. Okay. Ideally, I wouldn't have to raise any money whatsoever. None. If we could get people to volunteer. However, we've been trying to get people to volunteer. And whilst people are in the comments saying, oh, yeah, I want to volunteer. Once you say to people, okay, great. What can you do? What are your skills? What are you, are you a qualified first aider? Are you willing to come and be a marshal? Oh, I don't know, because, it might kick off. So I don't really want to do. Is there something else I can do? Well, are you willing to, print flyers and hand them out? Oh, well, I haven't got a printer. So, and this isn't me having a go at anyone. This is just this is life. But it's so hard to get volunteers. It's so hard to get businesses to come along and do it for essentially free. It is impossible. People have got bills to pay. So then the only thing you can really do is try and raise a bit of money and then, pay for things. But of course, you're always going to get that criticism of, you're just trying to grift. You're just trying to make money. I don't care about money. I don't. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have to raise any money. We'd just have volunteers, but it's not happening.
No, and are you still doing your job? Because there was a possibility that you might leave your job.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was say, look, this, and it is genuinely, Liam, right? This is a full-time thing. It's waking up at 4 a.m. It's getting straight on social media. It's sending emails. It's the council giving your emails back. And, and I'm doing that till 11, 12 o'clock at night. But then through the day, I'm also working a full-time job. So I'm a truck driver. So we work quite long hours anyway. So what I wanted to do was, and, people say, well, this is the grift. It's not. I said to people, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can do this full-time. Okay. I can keep movements going. Bear in mind, we've also just set up a charity. I've just got the company. It's all on Company's House. It's all legit. It's all good to go. We're just in the process of registering it. So we're doing a charity as well. I've got people out on the ground at the moment from my team going to like children's parks and picking up, hypodermic needles that have been left on the ground and stuff like that. Things in local communities. Okay. The videos will be coming out soon. So we're trying to do lots of things at once. And I said, look, we can do this. Me, my team, as a full-time job. Now across our platforms, we've got 400,000 subscribers. Okay. If everybody donated £1 a month, or not everybody, if 10% of people donated £1 a month, think of the things we could do. We could pay ourselves a wage. We could put these great events on everywhere. The possibilities are endless. Okay. And at the minute, again, and I'm so thankful to the people who have genuinely. But at the moment, we've had, I think it's 600 people donate £1 or more out of 400,000. So again, it's, and I know money's tight for people, etc. So you can't really, you can't say anything. I understand that.
Is it because they're
Yeah,
broke, or is it just apathy? They think I've got to go on there and donate and find what I've got to do and all of that.
yeah,
Well,
it must be a mixture, mustn't it? It must, people must think, oh, I don't know about donating to this guy that I've never even met. I get that.
mhm,
People are skint. People haven't got the time. People think, oh, I'll do it later, and then they never get round. There's so many reasons.
mhm,
But at the minute, I'm still. I've been off this week. I've had holidays in,
mhm.
um, so I've been able to get things done. But it's very, very difficult to work sort of the 50, 60-hour weeks that I do as a HGV driver. All my team work as well. They're full time.
Mhm.
Um, and then we're just not getting the money in. And I absolutely will not, I will not take any money out of that GoFundMe. Absolutely not. That money is to go towards the charity for the event, for the protest. The separate thing I did was the buy me a coffee, donate £1 a month. You get a couple of thousand people do that. I can pay myself a wage. I can do it full time.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So let's just make this really clear to people out there. If you want to support Richard, and he really does need support, because like I always bang on about, not many people stand up, and he's really standing up. So where do they go to put their pound in a month? So they want to do a pound, a couple of quid, or buy me a coffee or whatever. So where can they access that?
so we've got a GoFundMe. You can go on Google and just type in GoFundMe National Protest. We're the first ones that come up. That's £5 minimum, which I understand a lot of people can't do. We've got to buy me a coffee as well. If it's all right with you, Liam, I'll send you the links, and then can you put them in
Yes,
the, because that's the easiest
absolutely.
way. Because the yeah,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, £1 a month.
yeah.
Genuinely, if enough people do that, that's we're on a roll. We can do so much with that money.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to get to the core issue of why you've decided Dover. You've got sort of a main core issue, which is anti-Labour, the Labour government, and the sort of illegal immigration. Just expand on that to say why you've honed it almost down to that.
Well, it's like I say, it's symbolic, but to me at the moment, so many of our problems, whether it's the NHS, whether it's our attacks on freedom of speech, our cost of living crisis, everything at the moment is exacerbated by the fact that we are having to fund people who don't belong here. Okay, people who are coming here, they don't speak our language, they don't want to integrate, they're getting free hotels, free meals, free everything. Okay, except it's not free, is it? Because we have to pay for it. So whilst I'm struggling to pay my electricity bill, while so many people are struggling, working all the hours they can, these people are coming in, they're getting it for free. So for me, the most important thing at the moment, okay, is getting to grips with our illegal immigration. Okay, immigration, fine, as long as it's controlled, they're coming here with something to offer, brilliant. Okay,
Mhm,
illegal immigration at the moment it's the reason for so many of our
mhm,
problems here, and it's only being made worse by the fact that Labour are now allowing it to happen. So for
yeah.
me, I want Labour out because they're all a bunch of liars, frauds, thieves, you name it, and
Mhm,
and illegal immigration. Call me right wing, I don't care, but
mhm.
that's where my heart lies. So for me, that was, I had to do what I believed in. Do you know what I
So
mean? So that's why I'm doing it.
how far are you sort of prepared to go with this? You're going to making this as a sort of complete career choice now. You're just going to keep going with this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going and keep going and keep going until I'm either no more or I'm locked up in a cell. That's because what other choice do we have? People have been in the comments and they've said, look, Rich, you need to think about your wife, your children. I know what they're doing. They're fake accounts trying to play head games. If we don't stand up, you look at
Yeah.
what's going on in Ballymena at the moment. Okay, you've got these people coming in. They're coming into Ireland because they've got freedom of movement under the EU. They're then going across into Northern Ireland. Okay, they then get housing benefits, 3 days out, allowances. They don't speak English. They're not willing to integrate. But then on top of that, crime statistics are going through the roof. The local people have been shut down because we're not allowed a voice. We're not allowed to speak out. So people have just sort of accepted it. But then it gets to a point where people go, I'm not having this anymore. And then you have this, I keep going on about it, this knee-jerk reaction, and I completely understand why people are doing it, okay? Their local communities, their local towns and villages are genuinely under attack. Okay.
Mhm,
So then what happens is people go, right, I've had enough. And then you get this spilling over, this violence, the petrol bombs, the,
mhm,
the violence spilling out onto the streets. And that's not really going to resolve anything, because what you're going to end up with is a load of violence for a couple of days and then everyone will go back to normal. That's what will happen. Okay.
mhm.
We've got to do this in the right way. And I'm willing to go as far as is necessary to keep doing this in the right way. People keep saying I've got quite a soft approach, but at the moment, that's what we've it's what we've got to have, because the only other alternative to us having a voice, standing up, being unified, and enjoying our days out and having genuine, not protests, because we're not allowed them on Dover Beach. The only alternative to that is violence. So when you
Yeah.
ask how far I'm willing to go, to get round to your question, sorry, I've had quite a lot of coffee and lem sips because I've got man flu. I don't really know till I get there. But what I do know is I am not willing to sit back and have the sleepless nights that I used to have, worrying about my son and his future and the future of our country. So I'm just going to keep going and keep going. And I'm not going to stop. And I end up where I end up.
And so, just for the purposes of YouTube, we've got to obviously reiterate that this is a very peaceful
Yep.
movement that doesn't advocate any violence or anything like that. Now, I believe that the bikers may get involved and also the farmers. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The farmers, amazing. They supported us in phase one. A lot of the problems that they're facing at the moment are a lot of our problems as well. And then, yeah, there's a guy called Chris. They're called The Shield. They're getting really big on social media now. They're essentially, have you seen The Shield, Liam?
No,
For
I'm going
people
to have to
who
get
also,
on to that. Yes.
fantastic. Chris Hargreaves, his name is. They are a
Yeah.
group of bikers now, and they're branching out all over the nation. And what they're going to do voluntarily is go out on their Harleys or whatever they've got, right? And they're going to patrol the streets of the UK, just up and down, day in, day out, just keeping us safe,
Yeah.
just acting as a deterrent.
Yeah.
And how fantastic is that? So they're going to
That
be
is
turning up as well.
amazing. That is fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Now, we've only got a few minutes left, so I want to ask also about you've also got other ideas like about cash, doing everything in cash,
Mhm.
and so abstaining from going to certain big businesses like Tesco and stuff like that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so obviously we need to stop money talks, okay? So when you start hitting large corporations, because I'm not being funny, they're posting record profits year on year, okay, whilst people are struggling to either heat their homes or
Mhm.
feed themselves, okay? So what we need to do now is start taking control. The government is an issue, but so are the quangos, so are the big businesses, so are the big banks. There are so many people now lining their pockets and utilizing our misery to sort of fund their own gain. So we're going to go after large corporations who are quite frankly taking the mickey out of us. Starting with Tesco. I can't remember the dates, Liam. I do apologise.
Yeah.
But for what we're going to do is each week we are going to essentially boycott a large business, and then we're going to
Yes.
be spending cash only in local businesses, your local farm shops. Yeah, support local small businesses using cash. If you can't get to small butchers, I understand farm shops, they can be quite expensive. If you're on a budget, fine, go to a business. If we're boycotting Tesco's, go somewhere else, but please use cash. So start drawing your cash out now, little by little. The dates are on our socials. I'll repost them. Can't remember them off the top of my head. I don't want to get them wrong. But start drawing cash out now, little by little, and then for a
Mhm.
week, just spend cash. And
Yes.
I'm telling you now, the people I've spoken to who are financially aware, they've said,
Mhm.
if we all spend cash, if
Yes.
2% of the population switch to spending cash for a week in the UK,
Mhm.
those at the top would be having crisis meetings, genuinely.
Yeah.
So yeah, little things like this that we can do that can cause, absolute carnage for
Absolutely.
them at the top.
Now, there's been a huge strain on you throughout this entire time. How do you relax? Do you have like a hobby? Are you like a football fan, or are you out and about? What would you do?
So hobby wise, clay pigeon shoot. I've not. Do you know what? I've not done anything right. Clay pigeon shooting. I love my music, going to like live music venues. Love a drink. I love
Yeah.
socializing with people. I've not seen genuinely, and again, I'm not a victim. I'm not complaining. This is what I want to do. I've not really relaxed. I had 4 days off this
Yeah.
week just gone. But for the past sort of, I'd say maybe 4 months now, it's been. But I'm loving it. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like work. It's knackering, but I'm loving it, honestly.
If people come up to you in the pub or something like that, and what are they going to buy you to drink? What's your favourite tipple?
Or I'll drink Sillet Bang if it's the only thing going. No, I like whiskey, gin, anything. I like red. I love red wine. It depends. It's just it's what do you drink? It depends on the day, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, well I've packed it up now, but I used to like a Beck's back in the day or a Budweiser. I used to like all of that, but can't take the hangover anymore. That's the thing. So
Oh, it's
right,
rough.
before we go, let's just reiterate the date and where it's going to be for the next big event, which is the national protest. Although we're not calling it a protest.
No, it's definitely not the Great British National Protest. Yeah, so 19th of July, get to Dover, 12 p.m. Please, 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 if you can, get down there, make your plans, and it's gonna be a fantastic day.
And that's at 12 o'clock. Is it 12 o'clock on the day? Is that it?
Yes, yes.
Right. And where can they follow you, Richard, online? Where can they follow you?
Yeah, so you can go on X, TikTok, Facebook, just type in the Great British National Protest. You can just type in national protest now, and we're the first ones that come up. We're getting big, we're getting famous. So
Yeah.
go onto those platforms, type them in, we'll pop up, give us a follow, and then yeah, all our posts are there, all the information you need is there as well.
And he does need financial support. So a pound,
Or
do
volunteers, or both. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Do a buy me a coffee or something like that, which would be absolutely fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to say it again. This is a brave young man who's putting himself on the line, which so few people do. So, you don't, I mean, some of you may not agree with his viewpoint, and that's fair enough. That's democracy and this, that, and the other. But here we do support him. So fantastic. Hope that event goes really well. I'm going to see if I can get to it myself. If not, I'll support you all the way through. And good luck with it, Richard.
Liam, thank you so much. Thank you.